So, good morning, YouTube. Um, Guys, I'm back in Jacksonville. So, I'm sort of I'm living in a little bubble here because I'm having to rearrange all of my scenery because one of my hard drives is failing. And so I had to look to see, well, what do I have on the good drives? And yes, I have Florida on one of my good drives. So I'm gonna be moving some scenery onto uh, uh, just around, fixing it. And it'll probably take me about a day or so. And the timing really couldn't be better because I wanted to sort of get a grip on what I've got and figure out that if I do want to do a copy of X-Plane so that I can test out X-Ambience when it comes out, I can do that. With as little pain as possible. And I've learned a few things. So yeah. So yeah, this is Jacksonville, and it's, for a freeware place, this is pretty well done. Though I always wish that they would spend more time on the FBOs. But yeah, this is on the .org. There's Jacksonville in the distance, and this is Orvix, Florida. Hmm. And I'm back in the Phenom. So yeah, I don't have the itch to get off of it yet. Sometimes it's about, gosh, I want to learn something new, and sometimes it's about, I just want to go up. I just want to go up. And so right now the answer to that I want to go up thing is the Phenom. For now. And I hope they keep developing this thing because there's plenty of potential in here. Let's see. Anyway, I've got my fuel loaded. I don't have my speeds set. Let's see. What's the temperature here in Jacksonville? 19. And the weight is 16.2. So I cannot get air. Jeez. There we go. There's that. Parking brakes on. Stack is off. Close, 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 close. Airports. K Jacks. Somebody asked me to actually to start using pop-outs. Let's see. So when I'm doing my, especially I guess when I'm doing my VNAV work. How do you turn that on? All right. Oh, that's for VR. Oh, wait. Okay, so that works. What I need to do is enable a key or something, right? I'll get to that. I don't use them much. I guess I really don't need them. wonder what topology versus topology plus terrain is. How about both? So we're taking off from runway 26 today. We're heading down to Naples, which is a pretty nice airport too, and it's also free. It's okay. You know, I mean, it's one I look at and I go, possibilities down there. Parking brake is set. Chocks are removed. All doors are closed. Oxygen bottle done. Supply control valve is PAX Auto. Pneumatic panel first. Generators, then pneumatics. Fuel pumps are on. Crossfeed is off. Hydraulic pumps on. ELT is armed. Pusher cutout is pushed out. I don't know how you tell it's pushed out. All I know is it's supposed to be like that. Heating panel is good. Ice panel is good. Landing gear lever is down. Pressurization panel. Air conditioner panel. Auto. Fire extinguisher. Start stop knobs are off. Lap lever is 0. Speed brake is closed. Engine ignition. Go to auto. Levers go to idle. And we start the battery. And again, I'll do it without the GPU, which means get my engine started. Navigation databases, fuel quantity and balance. Good. Oxygen is good. Test panel.
TOS system test okay. Fire. 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 TCAS test. Pass.
There's that. Lights. Nav lights on. Seriously. Wait. That's always a good sign. I keep rebooting my machine to help the situation with my missing drive, or not missing, but it's sick. I wonder how long it's been like this. I found out yesterday when I was getting an error from X-Plane saying that it couldn't find a file that was clearly there. Alright, now let's do it. There we go.
SPAD.next. Connection established.
There you go, there's my SPAD. Lights, emergency lights. Armed, doors are closed, battery voltage is checked. I gotta get moving here. Signs, outlets on. Air conditioning is auto. ADS probes on. Right engine start. Oil pressure. This is my checklist, which is it's an aggregation of some other real-world checklists that I've found around the web. Phenom, nobody uses, that I can tell, any sort of standardized checklist, which is, to me, a little amazing. A little. I would imagine that there is a core set of things that everybody has to do when they load up this airplane, and then different service providers, different people that companies that own this airplane add some things to it because of either they saw the pilot make a mistake or something like that, or how did that happen? So they add something to the checklist, and but I mean, one of them was really out there. And I was like, really? I need to go back and look at that one again, but most of them have a common theme to them. And so I mostly took, I took one that was well formatted and it was out there on the web. And then I was paying attention to other checklists and, listening to what the pilots were talking. You couldn't see it mostly. Occasionally you can see it. And adding things, I thought that's a good idea. They should have, this is a good idea to put into a checklist. So, and it's a good idea, some of these things were so minor that you go, well, that doesn't really need to be there. And in some ways this could be stripped down because honestly speaking, what you do is you start right here. You could start right here and move up and across and down, which is how a lot of pilots work. A lot of pilots, before they take off, have a flow that goes from here up to here and across here. Baron pilots and different folks like that, they start that back here and go up here and then go across. Or sometimes they'll do it this way. In this airplane, you start here for the startup. You start here, work across to here, and then come down here. And then for takeoff, I would imagine you would go here across here. Again, just like any more simple airplane pilot would do. Just checking the switches, checking the settings. In fact, I would probably include pressurization in that. I would probably go from here and then across here. So enough on that. Altimeter is 3019. Got to move some things around. 3019 flight plan. Let's see, we're going Jaja. In pin. To Naples, KPF. And then for the procedure, we're doing a departure. I guess I should pop this out. We're doing a departure enter, and we're doing the Jetton 2. And we're taking off on 26 to Jaja. Alright, and then for arrival, we're using the Shifty 5. Shifty 5. Well, let's try. I don't see in pin anywhere in here. Well, let's just try that. Let's try Cinta. I mean, all right. How do I move that? There we go. I'm losing this battle. KPF. So I'm gonna have to come back and load the. Oh, Cinta for sure. All right. All right. So. Let's bring up the flight plan again. Actually, let's go here. Sorry, I got distracted. What is all that? What a gaggle. Well, Cinta is way up there. Oh, there's Inpin back there. So, all the more reason why you always check these things. There's departure. Inpin. Alright, so let's get rid of. Let's go down here a little bit. There it is again. So clear that. Clear that. Clear that. Clear that. And we don't need it twice. So I'm going to go up to here to this one and clear that. Now let's look at it. Alright. Come on. Let me try something here. My range button's not working. Well, it's the button that's not working. There we go. Okay, so that looks good. And with this airplane, I always use, I try to put the whole Class C, more or less, into view, because this airplane will go outside the Class C fairly quickly. If it was a smaller airplane, I'd go more like that. But, yeah, that's what I do. And you need to know when you're outside of this ring, because you got to keep your speed below 200 knots within 4 miles of a Class Charlie or Class Delta airport. So, yeah. Altimeters are set and cross-check. Flight plan is entered. Let's do avionics. We're departing. No. Departure. Jet and 2. So we have to cross Jetton. Well, let's see what it says. Expect that or above 10,000 at Jetton. Runway 26, climb heading 257 to 540 feet, then climb to assigned altitude. Okay, so I'm going to use, I think typical at Jacksonville is 3,000, could be 2,000. And we're climbing on heading 257. Which is where we are. And that's set, that's set, the 3,000, these are set, flight plan. And I will put in dirty as my first fix. ATR is set, LFE is set, weather radar. Weights are entered, takeoff speeds are set, flight director, Toga, comms, nav transponder. Let's see, we're at Jacksonville. Actually, I want to put a code in. Taxi briefing. So, taxi out will be via, I believe this is, yeah, Gulf 1 to Gulf to Alpha to Charlie. That's what I expect. Gulf 1 to Gulf to Alpha to Charlie. And takeoff briefing. Standard departure off of runway 26. Initial heading is 257. We'll use heading mode on departure. Initial altitude to 3,000 feet. If anything abnormal happens below 200, below 80 knots, I'll abort on the runway, notify ATC. Stop on the runway, notify ATC. Between 80 knots and V1, if the only thing I'll stop for is engine fire, engine failure, loss of control, or something that makes me think we'll lose control. Other than that, we continue with the departure. Plan A is to follow ATC instructions. Plan B is runway heading to 3,000 feet. All recoveries back to Jacksonville. Weather's beautiful. Runway 1432 is closed today, as it was part of last week. I don't know how long that's going to last. Okay, doors are closed, battery voltage is good. Signs, outlets are set, air conditioning is auto, ADS probes are on, and engine start knob. Oil pressure. Good start. GPU wasn't used. Electrical emergency. First flight of the day. Air conditioning is auto. Swaps test.
Stall, stall. Stall, stall.
Flight controls free and correct. Trims are set. I expect to see this change in a future update. It should be probably around 9, but 7.4 works. So I like 7.4 right now. Takeoff temps are set. ATR is confirmed on ADS probes. Auto ice protection is as required. GPU is disconnected. Electrical systems. Great. Electrical systems are good. Stall warning is checked. Flight controls are checked. Windshield heating and ice probes are set. Air conditioning is auto. All engine instruments are green and parallel flaps. Takeoff. Takeoff. Good. And block timeout is, we'll use local time, 7:55. Okay, clear on the left, clear on the right. Taxi light. Park and brake. CAS messages are clear. Bleeds are off. You could do a no bleed takeoff in this airplane. I don't know what the criteria is yet. And speaking of which, I'm going to add to this checklist. I'm going to add a second checklist for icing. I've already started collecting the information on it. So you'd use this checklist mostly, but then when you got down to the icing settings and your temperature settings and all that kind of stuff, you'd use the other one. And it also has other tests for icing, which may not be implemented to be honest. Clear left, clear right. Flaps are set, GPS mode is set, heading is set, altitude is set, altimeters are set. I try to do all the things that I would do if I was flying this in the real world. And you know, it does add to the immersion. It does. It's not all of it, right? But it's if you take a moment and imagine that you're going to be up in the air, zooming along at 200 to 400 knots. Among a whole bunch of other airplanes, and you're going to have to follow ATC instructions and all this. You got all this stuff going on in your head. You would take time to go back through all of your PFD settings. We've checked the flight plan. We've had a good look at it, and it looks good. So, and it makes sense, right? So here we are. There's west. We know we're going this way. And we know that we'll expect 10,000 at Jeddah. But that's not a hard altitude. If it was a hard altitude, we would see it here. We would see it right here, and it should be, the VNAV will only respect it if it's whatever color that is, light blue. If it's white, VNAV will ignore it. Of course, I don't think VNAV works on the climb in this airplane.
Takeoff. Okay.
Takeoff's okay. Flight controls free, incorrect, passengers notified. External lights, so lights, icing is set, flaps are set, transponder is on. Runway 26. Best as I can see. Clear that way. Clear that way.
Approaching runway 26. Entered runway 26. 9,900 feet remaining.
Runway 26 on the runway heading is confirmed. Here we go. Takeoff power set. Airspeed's alive. Knots, cross-check, rotate, positive rate, hold up, about up 12. There's 400 feet. Flaps up, yaw damper, IAS mode. Dial in 185. Start a left turn. There we go. Nav mode. Climb power. GPS mode FLC. See, now we'll hold below 200 knots. We're outside that ring. Nice view. Climb power set. And I'm going to DS up. Actually, I think I'll IAS. And we'll dial in 225. After takeoff, landing gear is up, flaps are up, thrust levers are climb, yaw dampers on, lateral mode is GPS, vertical mode is flitch, pressurization is checked, yes, checked. And speaking of checklists, you know, I would say all of the flights, the real world flights that I've seen with this airplane are direct enter. The pilots do it on paper. They have a folded paper checklist that they use. Some of them do a lot of it with memory, or a good part of it by memory, but they're pretty, you know, they follow the checklist. It's 10,000 feet. Shut the lights off. Pretty view down there. So we're above 10,000 before jetting, so that's one thing that I have to think about. Also note that a lot of the pilots do a fair amount of flying this airplane by hand. At least up to some altitude, whatever they decide. Which is a big reason to like this airplane. Autopilot on. Alright, transition altitude, altimeters. No.
Climbing through transition altitude.
Working on my blasted settings. So I'll wait till we get up to altitude to look at this approach or this arrival. Let's see, we're transitions, so windshield light should come on, signs can go off, landing lights are already off. Signs, altimeters, windshield heat, lights. Typical summertime in the South, haze everywhere. Set cruise power. Let us accelerate a little bit more. So yeah, I was getting some crashes from X-Plane, and I'm wondering if it had to do with that drive. You know? Because because it was in pretty bad shape from what I can tell. I'm hoping I can recover it all. Oh, hello. That's nice. Okay, so let's set economy power. And if this was a long flight, I'd be pretty precise about getting those two as close as possible to keep avoid a fuel imbalance. It's not bad. Sit back and enjoy the ride. Well, for a moment. Before we go here, and let's look at flight plan. And there's the arrival. Alright, so get rid of this. On their arrival. So we're here. It's a long arrival. So I guess we'll cut over to in pin and expect 310 there, which there's in pin there. Since it's an expect, it's not set here. If it was a required altitude, then you'd see it there. In blue. And if it's in white, then make it blue if it's required. Because VNAV won't respect anything else. There's no other altitude or airspeed restrictions. Though there's, you know, these altitudes here, which are useful. So, just in regards to VNAV, let's see. So, what runway am I expecting at Naples? 5. Runway 5, so we're going to be on a downwind. That. Rid of that. Approaches. You know, I'm in the mood to try something different. I'm going to do the VOR. which means we'll come over the top of the airport, do a procedure turn, and come back in. So we'll set all that up. So you can use LaBelle, Lee County, or CYY. I'll use CYY. One mile visibility and 580 feet. It's loaded. So at the VOR, well, it looks like we want to be, it looks like it's okay to be 2,300 feet. So I'll go back into flight plan and I'll dial in 2,300 feet here. And that'll give me my VNAV, which now says I've got 19 minutes before I descend. And then in pin, we're not even going to be up at 310, so I'm not going to put 310 in there, obviously. So yeah, there's our VNAV profile. Interesting that it says 24,300 and we're only at 24,000, but these are white altitudes, they're just advisory, they don't mean anything. The only one required is that one right there. So normally when a G1000 gets within 1 minute of VNAV, it will give you a audible vertical track. And that's not something they've got implemented in this airplane right now. So you have to keep your eye out for the white dot, or keep coming back over here and checking to see how much time you've got left. Within 5 minutes of your vertical descent, you can click the VNAV button. And then it'll start down on its own. If you forget and miss it, then you click flight plan and hit VNAV direct. And VNAV direct will start your descent from wherever you are. So this one's a pretty basic descent. And you have to keep your eye on it because it's, number one, it's got bugs, and number two, it's not a perfect VNAV system. You know, it doesn't do anything for speeds for you. I've seen where it sort of goes to sleep. I've seen where it blows off an altitude. So you do have to keep your eye on it. You know, I hope that X-Plane is working on updating this and adding a G3000, G5000 as well. But overall, it's pretty good. Despite its, you know, idiosyncrasies. Hey Nedson, good morning. If I look sideways, it looks like I'm inverted. Oh, because the ground or the sky is dark and the ground is light. I don't know. That's not something. It's not something I want to feel. Yeah, I'm flying in Florida right now. I don't know if you caught any of the rest of the stream, but one of my hard drives is failing. So I'm in the process of recovering it uh, to another drive, and I'm gonna send it the way of the dodo, I think. It's got something going on with it, and it's not your typical corrupt drive thing. Something's causing the corruption. So, but Florida is completely on one of my SSD drives, so I can fly around in Florida to my heart's content and not worry about it. At least that's what my theory is. Morning V1. I'm surprised to see you guys on. I didn't think anybody would catch this. I figured I'd be up here all by my lonesome just talking to myself. This is one of those flights I like to do. Long flight all the way down to Florida, either to Naples or to Key West, sometimes down to Sarasota, Boca Raton, Fort Lauderdale. I want to get an Opalaka, and I understand why a developer hasn't done it, because it's tedious. Someone mentioned in one of the comments that they also make Phenoms at what is that airport? I fly in there. I've flown in there a couple of times. Where are you? Melbourne, Florida, which will be passing on the left here soon. You're still there. Okay. Morning. So someone asked me to start using the pop-outs. I mean, so that I guess they can follow along with the VNAV and the flight plan entry. So I enabled these things. I usually have them shut off. This one, I don't know why somebody would want me to pop that one out, but you have to enable both of them. But I can, I get that, I want them to narrow this up right about to there, and then center the blasted airplane. Like when you're in this mode, you should, and that's pretty good, but sometimes they lose the airplane. And then I also want them, I hope they'll keep working on their G1000 implementation. I want them to make the wide view look better. They do it like that, which is okay, and that's nice. But there's a bug in this, not theirs, but in the X-Plane G1000 where the fuel calculations are completely wrong. So this has a limited value, really. As I heard one jet pilot say, you live on this page. KFLL, yeah. I, I have the who makes. I don't know who makes KFLL, but I have it, and it's nice. I wish, with all those big airports, I wish they would spend more time on the blasted FBOs. Um, yeah, I do. And there's Fort Lauderdale Exec too, right? Isn't there? Which I don't think I've ever flown into. I want to. I, that's what I like about FS 2020. You can just go to an airport. It's probably okay. Um, not.
Destination Aegis is
It's not that.
134.22
It's not that good in. X-plane. X-plane. I often have to go look at the airport to see. I have to cringe and go, oh no, how bad is this one? Yeah. Yeah, I've flown in and out of Fort Lauderdale 10 times, 12. I got my money's worth out of that one. Maybe more. I've flown out on VATSIM too, which I'm not on right now. Speaking of VATSIM. It's like listening to a shortwave radio, right? Sometimes you just turn it on for the noise, listening to two people talk across thousands of miles. Approach. So proceed your turn at 1,000 feet, that's required, and then the final approach fix is 1,000 feet, and the runway is 56 feet. Swap that in. KPF ADIS is 134.225. Oops. I don't know why some airports have an ADIS and others don't. Swap that in. Fort Myers approach, Miami Center, CTAF, ground. Final approach course is 039. So let's go here. Select heading mode, and then CDI and 039. Okay, and then let's go elevation is 8. Minimum safe altitude is 2300. Climbing right turn to 1800. So the missed approach is to climb it and enter the hold. And that's it for the approach brief. Speeds. $15,404. 127. 116. 113. And IS mode. I'll set that to 123. So I'll start the approach around 123 and it'll just be a guide. And the trick here, this shows you how much time you have to top a descent. But if you miss it, you gotta make sure you look over here to see if it still says top of descent, because it'll switch and it'll say bottom of descent. You may be zooming along thinking you've got tons of time before you have to start descent. It's trying to tell you, no, you should already be in descent. So those two, I've been there. I always say, I have to make every mistake. And that's a mistake I've made a few times. So we're within 2 minutes. We've got to set our altitude, which is 2,300 feet. So, 2,300 feet, and press Phenom. Descents for the lazy is what VNAV is all about, right? Or people are too lazy to do the math. But it is really handy on a star. I mean, you're busy enough sometimes trying to manage your speed. No. You're busy enough trying to manage your speed that it's easy to miss altitudes, and the altitudes, where it's at or above or at or below or between this altitude and that altitude can they drive me nuts with the G1000, even with VNAV. So I was saying to myself last night that it's actually good that my hard drive is failing now, because I was going to have to deal with the task of sorting out how to make a copy of my X-Plane. Here comes my VNAV pointer. because I don't want to overwrite my current settings. I want to get X ambience when it comes out, but I don't want to overwrite my current settings. And which means I need to make a copy of X-Plane, and which is great, right? You just copy and paste and you're done. Not so simple, because sometimes it wants to copy your links or your shortcuts. It wants to copy the entire directory. So yeah, I've got to do something fancier. I think there's a bug in Windows that does that, causes that. Instead of copying it as a link, it tries to copy the entire directory structure. And I think I know why finally, after doing a little bit of research today. Altimeter. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do when I get down to Naples, right? Go fishing? 3017. Landing speeds are set. LFE is checked. Sorry. Seems like every blasted device I have is making noise right now. Where was I? LFE pressurization is good. Approach briefing is complete. Icing conditions. Transition altitude. Altimeters. 3017. Signs. Back on. Windshield off. And taxi light on. So there's supposed to be some big announcement from X-Plane. Well, at least a preview of what's coming or something. That was announced a couple of weeks ago, and it was already delayed then. They said they weren't ready. I haven't heard a peep about it since.
Naples Muni Information Bravo. 1300 Zulu weather. Wind 070 at 5, visibility more than 10. Sky clear, temperature 2.18. Altimeter 3018. Arriving runways 0505, departing runways 0505. Advise on initial contact you have Bravo.
They say 3018. The real world says 3017. Close enough. I wonder, I know that Aerobasque is making a Falcon, and everyone's real excited about the Falcon. It's all about buzz, right? But I wonder if this airplane will end up being more popular than the Falcon will. I mean, in the long run. That's saying, because they don't have the buzz behind this airplane that they have behind the Falcon. So when the Falcon comes out, there's going to be a whole boatload of people buying it. But in the long haul, I wonder if this one would end up being more popular. It could. Once everything dies down. What I'll do is I'll move this down here, and then I'll do that. I think that's nice about this plane. I mean, it's a enhancement of the Phenom 100. And it's good for short flights. This is an airplane you can take up on a long flight or a short flight and be very comfortable. It handles it well. It's easy to stay on top of. Well, it's easy to get behind too, but you can do, with a little bit of work, you can manage a short flight with it. Falcon, I'm not so sure. It's more of a long legs airplane. So it might, I think it'll be really popular. I think it'll do really well. Let's see, 10,000 feet. But this airplane's more versatile, I think. Gosh, it's pretty. Minimums are set. So on this flight, we get to see the airplane go through a procedure turn on its own, which is cool. I've never done a procedure turn. I've done the procedure turn holds in this airplane. Works fine. Alright, I think I'm going to go ahead and activate the approach. And Orbix is supposed to have some big announcement. I don't know if it's a big announcement or not, but it's some announcement. this week about X-Plane. Something that they're developing. Oops. Speed. You know what I should do is do a flight from here down to Key West. You know, just do something really, really short. I'll just let the speed keep leading off. There's our procedure turn right there. One of those Florida neighborhoods where it's, you know, built like this in a circle. You see those all over Florida, all over southern Florida anyway. It's cool, you can have mosquitoes in your own backyard here. I assume these head out to they're linked to the ocean somehow. I don't know, maybe. That's a good ways to the ocean over there. 200 knots right on time. Alright, let's click the approach and see what happens. It should descend to 1,000 on its own. Will it though? It's 1800. Let's do a... It's not doing it. Oh, wasn't doing it because I never set the blasted altitude. And I'll put flaps 1 in when I get to the other side. Look at that. Okay, I'll look that way. Looks nicer. So there's no final approach fix. This is a nice little piece of equipment right here. It's got the compass, altimeter, and airspeed all on one. So you don't have to keep looking up at this thing. Flaps 1. There's the runway right there. Gear down. Flaps 3. Oh wow, provides vertical guidance too.
Autopilot.
So minimums are 580. Landing light. Cheating, aren't I? This is a VOR approach. You fly direct to the VOR, and since I've got the runway in sight, I can just go ahead and line up from the runway. I like VOR approaches.
Minimums.
Full flaps.
500.
Gear down, flaps down.
500.
Transition altitude. Nearest altimeter 3020.
400.
Oh my gosh, way below EREF.
300. 200. 100.
Been a while since I landed here. Lights, icing, flaps. See, we're on Alpha, which is where we want to be. Yeah, I see where we're going. initial hype, Falcon will take it for a few weeks, but if Aerobask
Approaching runway 1432.
strobes are on.
Entered runway
Clear on
1432.
the left, clear on the right.
Two-mile final runway 05.
Yeah. Sometimes ForeFlight gets a little confused. Cool place to come. Strobes off. If I ever open this airport up and revise it, I will remove that friggin' blimp. Otherwise, it's really, for a free airport, this is not bad. I need to look around. I'll just park over here. Park and brake, taxi lights, timer. And what'd you say? Initial hype, Falcon will take it for a few weeks, but if Aerobask make the Falcon anything like the Phenom, I don't know, man. I will definitely purchase the Falcon to test it out. Can you set the aircraft to fly a hold? I couldn't figure that out. It'll fly a published hold. It will not fly any other hold. You have to do the other holds all by yourself, and that's true about the G1000 in general, at least last time I checked. They keep updating the firmware of the G1000 to add new features, and there are some features that this G1000 doesn't have that the newer G1000s have, and there's a pretty good list of those things. I keep hoping they'll open this code back up and update it, because honestly speaking, FS 2020 is pushing ahead, making more and more enhancements to their G1000, 3000, and 5000. At some point they're going to pass them. You know, if they don't do anything, which I'd be surprised if they don't do anything. That was a good flight. I enjoyed that. I had to come up with a plan since I've only got Florida. I had to think, okay, do I have enough scenery to be able to do Florida? And yes, apparently I do. So after I'm done with this flight, I'm gonna restart my backup, my copy over to another hard drive, and try to get that done by tomorrow. There's a lot to copy. And then I've got to fix my scenery file and do all that. Are we done? 2 minutes? Yep. Let's see, time back is 090, say 05. 0905. So an hour and 10. And off. Park and brake is set. These are back. Off. Oops. Leave the generators on. And that's it. Now we can go exploring, go fishing, and all that kind of stuff. That'd be my son. He'd already be outside of the airplane with his fishing poles in hands. Were you coming? Yeah. So yeah, it plays a hold really well if it's published. Other than that, you gotta, it's good practice though to fly a hold manually with this airplane. I saw a good video on it. I'll see if I can head it up and post it in the comments of this video using a G1000. A couple of pilots talking about. Um, it's fairly generic. You would do the same thing without a G1000, but they show it on a G1000, and it's real world procedures. It's not sim procedures. Uh, well, good morning, B1 and Nadson. Glad you came on board with me today and enjoyed your company. So I will, I'll see you next time. Could be tonight, could be some other time. Really appreciate it.